Welcome, Valpo fans, to this week's edition of Valpo Basketball Weekly, brought to you by Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute. I'm Aaron Levitt, joined today by Valpo women's basketball head coach Courtney Boyd. Coach Boyd, thanks for joining me.
Hey Aaron, how are you?
Good, good. No, it's been a rough stretch for your group in terms of results here in the early season, but I think there have been some positives from game to game. What do you, in your eyes, have you seen over the last few games that this group has done well? And then on the flip side, what areas do you see where there's still a lot of room for growth?
I think we started off the season and we were struggling with how to play hard for 40 minutes. What do we do when we get down? How are we going to react if we're not in the winning column the every single quarter? What changes are we going to make? And then how are we going to come together as a team? And I think that was something that we had struggled with the first handful of games. The further along that we've gotten, I do think that we've made strides. I think we've made adjustments and we've started to believe in each other more than we did at the beginning of the year, which also attributes to us playing more to all the way to the buzzer instead of, giving up in the middle of the third quarter or after a media timeout late in the game. So that's one thing I'm really excited about the adjustment we've made there. And I also think the other things we've started to figure out what roles each player have become better at. Do we have more rebounders? Are we better in certain defenses? What do we need to do offensively, and whose hand does the ball need to be in? And so we've been able to navigate that in a little bit of different way, and our practices have reflected that as well. So it's put us in a good spot. We feel a little bit more comfortable going into each game prep with a little bit more probably detailed of a plan of what I would say. And so those two things moving forward, I do think that they're going to put us in a successful spot here soon. Obviously, it can't come soon enough, but those two things I'm excited about. A couple of things I wish that we could continue to work on and sooner than later. We were able to adjust our defense, so we feel a little bit more confident going into our game plan defensively. We can play some different lineups. We can go big. We can actually go small if we need to. So that's benefited us. That really benefited us the other night. We held them to the lowest points allowed that we have all season, I believe. If not, it was the second. And unfortunately, we couldn't find the bottom of the net. I thought we were getting good looks. We were talking offense. We were able to get to the middle of the lane, find some open shooters. We just couldn't get it to fall. So the adjustment defensively that continues to need to happen. We don't want to be a zone team all the time. We don't want to be, only stuck in our ways, man to man. So we were able to play a zone. We were able to look at different lineups. But if we can get on the same page and jump on board, man to man wise, it puts us in a better spot for rebounding, which hopefully will help us with our transition. So those would be a couple things I'd want to continue to work on, especially going into our next opponent.
I think one positive I've seen is the fact that this group has had a bunch of different players show the ability to step up and be a leader offensively on any given day. I think it's 7 players have scored in double figures at least once this year. I guess the question there is then how do you harness that and get 2 or 3 or 4 of those people firing well in the same game?
Aaron, that's a fantastic question. I would love for two or three of them to be able to do that in the same game, and I think that that's what the opponent has done to us. So we have one leading scorer, and then the next game they focus on that leading scorer, so somebody else steps up. It's okay if they focus on us. It's okay if they scout us from the success that we had and the things that they want to adjust. I think what's happening is then we start to overthink the game. If we're guarded differently, if we don't have as much space, if we aren't getting the same type of passes, we don't have as much confidence in our looks. So getting them to understand that it's okay if you're not the person that day, but we still need that consistent effort and the consistent offensive looks and repetitions that we got in the game prior. So how do we harness that? I'm not exactly sure. We're going to keep pouring into them as a staff and giving them the confidence that we believe in and that we believe that they can do and make things happen. Hopefully, they start to believe what we're saying, and that does in turn allow two or three of them to tick on the same night, and we're all ticking in the same direction.
think another positive off the court lately has been much less time on the bus recently. We had something like 8 or 9 nights on the road the first 3.5 weeks of the season. How nice is it to have a stretch this month where you can kind of get into a routine at home and not have to deal with the constant logistics of traveling everywhere for road games?
It's great. I know everybody says, oh, you want to have a home court advantage. At this point, we're not even worried about the home court advantage. We're just worried about home. What does it feel like to sleep in your own bed? What does it feel like you said, the logistics? What does it feel like to not have to have every meal pre-planned? Where are we going and what time do we have to tell the bus driver? And are we on time? Are we not? Is somebody letting us into the gym or are they not? Just that extra communication when you're trying to figure out early in the season, it takes a toll on you and it takes a toll on the staff. So kudos to the staff and the things that they've been able to do while we were on the road. But I know that they feel like there's been a breath of fresh air just being able to be in their own offices, prep in their own space, and then, have a little bit of extra time with our players off of the court to, like you mentioned, that makes a big difference too. We're trying to build the culture and chemistry at the same time we're trying to, put the ball in the hole and get a defensive stop. So just gives us more of an opportunity to do that in our own space. And then the home court advantage, hopefully sooner than later, becomes something that we really look forward to after having been on the road so often.
An exciting week, not only for your team or athletics, but the entire university. Announced last week. The president-elect of Valparaiso University, Reverend Brian Konkol, was announced last Tuesday and then was on campus over the weekend. And obviously, pretty exciting that he stopped by your practice Friday evening. You had the opportunity to chat with him for a bit. What are your impressions of him?
Well, first of all, it sounds like that we have another evaluator in the stands. His wife was a point guard, and so I've warned my point guards, and if I haven't warned them all, I will. But if her evaluation goes far, she might be sitting in on a few staff meetings she just doesn't know about yet. But you can't ever go wrong with a president that understands the dynamic of athletics on a college campus. And honestly, at Valpo, there are so many athletes that are on campus. His understanding of the importance of having people in the stands, what our enrollment looks like, how we're growing on whether it's general students or athletes, student athletes. I think that there's something to be said for understanding just kind of what that landscape looks like. On top of just navigating all of the things coming with NIL, outside resources, money coming in, money going out, and that's not just in basketball. That's just across athletics and especially the Division I level, across the nation. So I'm really excited for the experience that he has. I'm very excited about, just his demeanor and the way that he was in the gym. I think at our practice he said 3 times, "Oh, I just love it in here. I like practice more than games. I just love the environment." And so he understands. He understands that it's a process, and I really appreciate that because we are going through that process in a big way right now. But I think that he's gonna be that new that we need. There's gonna be some new challenges. There's gonna be some new expectations, but I do feel like he's got our back, and I've had conversations with our athletic director, and if she's on board, then I'm on board. So I think that we're in a good spot. I'm excited to have him in the stands.
3 more games left for your team in the non-conference slate, starting this Friday, December 12th, 6 p.m. SIUE at the Arc. It'll be a Christmas party. Get your photos with Santa and Mrs. Claus that night. Sunday, your team at Western Michigan at noon Central Time, and then closing out the non-conference next Wednesday, December 17th, Central Michigan at the Arc at 6 p.m. Coach Boyd, thanks for joining me today. Good luck as non-conference play rounds out.
Thanks so much, Aaron. We're gonna get one soon. It's coming. Appreciate
This,
you.
this has been Valpo Basketball Weekly brought to you by Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute.